Hello, is my screen visible?
Yes, ma.
Oh, okay, thank you.
But free me now. Free me, bruh. Like, no vex. No vex. On God, like,
Okay, so today
see me now. Uh-uh. 16.
I'll be teaching you the
Uh-uh.
aggregation of data and grouping results. And I hope everybody has my SQL workbench up and running on their laptop.
Yes.
Really? Okay.
Wait, I can't even use it. I'm recording. Move on.
So aggregate functions are essential in SQL for summarizing data and extracting insights, and they play a key role in efficient data management and analysis. So we have five common aggregate functions. We have the count, average, sum, minimum, and maximum. I'll be showing you how to use these functions. So count is used to count the number of records with a value in a field. So let me show you what that means. Can you see my workbench?
Nope.
Oh, I'm coming. How about now?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so from the last class,
Right.
the first tutor took us through. If we can, okay, I think somebody wants to join. If you
Original.
can remember, he taught us through these three tables: the employee demographic, the employee salary, and the pack department. So I'll be opening this table to show you what count is. So if you can remember from the last class, he mentioned some keywords that SQL uses: the select and the from. So now let me show you what the count can do. But before then, can you see the result this table gave us? Because now we are selecting everything in the table from our employee salary in the park and recreation. So now that we can see the table, and I said count is used to count the number of record we have in a field. So I'll be selecting our occupation, which is in the table. This is how count works. You call out count, which is a keyword in capital letter. It can either be in capital letter or you can leave it in small letter, but I prefer you use it in capital letters just to differentiate it from the regular words in the field. So now when I run, what do you see? You see a number, and this number means discounting number of rows we have in that field. The field is occupation. So now let's go back to our slide. I said aggregate functions, there are five of it. Count, which we've gone through. The next one, average. So average computes the average value of a numeric column. That is, it gives us the mean. And by mean, we have to add up everything we have divided by the number of row in that column. So now let me show you. Let me go back to my workbench. I'll still use the same occupation, but now I'm changing my count to average, which is AVG. You don't use the full average word, you use AVG in SQL. So when I run, sorry, because occupation is not, let me go back to the table. Let me show you what I mean. Let me show you why this did not work, why it gave us zero. If you notice, occupation is in a string and not numbers. Now let's check for the field that has numbers, which is salary. So I'm doing the average of salary. And when I run, see it gives us a number. Why it gave us zero before was because occupation was in string. So what this has done is it added up all the salary we have in that row, then divided it by the number of divided by the number, by total number, which is 12. If you can remember from occupation, we had 12 rows. So it summed up everything and divided it by the total number. Now the next thing in the aggregate is the sum. The sum calculates the total number of values in a numeric column. Numeric column. So now, remember what happened earlier when I used occupation. So just like sum in sum, let me go back to my slide. I said numeric colon. It's the same way average works. It works for a numeric colon and not a string colon. So let me show you. Let me change my table to a demo. Let's see what we have in our demographic table. So select all, which is the asterisk. Let me change this to demographic instead of using salary. So I work with a different table now.
Like that's for me.
Let me run it so you see the table. So this is the table of the demographic. So now let's check for
List.
the sum of
As
the
well
ages we have in demographic.
um what you
So
call it?
again we go
You
sum,
know then
then the
that
age.
that account say bomb
The age is the name of the column
you just five
we have on this table. And like I said, it's for numeric colon. So now let's run and you see. It gave us the sum of all the ages we have in that table. Now imagine when I use, let me go back to our table and see what we have in our table. Imagine if I use first name, let me say sum first name, and you see what happens. What do we get? We get zero. Why? Because it's a string colon and not
let me cheat
a numeric colon.
about
So
this
now let's
yes.
stick with our age instead of
It
the
will
first name.
stabilize am now. It will stabilize am.
I'm going back to my slide to
You know
show you the next aggregate
and
function,
you need to rise again.
which is max.
you just
From the
give
word max, it means
so
the
because it's
maximum
like
value in the
yeah like
colon.
I think say you wan
Now,
sell am.
let's go back to our workbench. Let me go back to the table for you to see. For us to run, I didn't mention earlier, we use this flash sign with I. We run it. So this is our table. Let me move it up a little for us to see. So this is our table. So now I mentioned that max is to look for the maximum value in the colon. So let's check for the maximum value of age. Just like we can use string for sum and average, it's the same way we can use string um for a string colon. So now let's check for the max of age. Max,
Messi don't do
then
anyhow.
age, then
They
you
just
run. See, it gives us 61. Why? Because it's not 61 is the highest number we have in that colon. The next function is mean. From mean, it means the minimum value in a colon. Now we're going back to our workbench to see. We're changing this to mean from max. And you see what it gives us. It gives us 29
you do
because
extra
29
fire.
is the lowest
You do
value
extra
in the
fire.
colon. Do you guys understand before we move
You
on?
don't pay your 0.05. Yes.
Oh, okay, thank you.
How much is that? How much is
So I'm going back to my slide. So
0.05.
that's all we have for the aggregate function. Now
No.
moving on
How much is that?
to the grouping data. We're talking about the group by. So what does group by mean? Group by means
Nothing.
the process of organizing row into categories based on one or
I
more
need the
columns.
bottle.
How is it done? It is achieved by using the group by. Group by is a clause in SQL, or rather a keyword in SQL, just like we have select from. Group by is also a keyword. Now let's go to our
No, me.
workbench.
You dey shout. I dey shout. You know me just
We're using our select all. And I didn't mention when you are done with a line in SQL, you have to end it with a semicolon. So I'll bring the semicolon down. So we say group by Let's change this to first name and let's run. Sorry, group by then first name and run it. Are you saying that it gives us only the results we have in that column, which is the first name? It can also be multiple in the sense that we can call in first name, we can call in the last name too from our table.
Yeah. Sit down
The
deep.
group by last name
Like back, sir. Down deep is thick about
in run.
blood.
I think it's giving us the result we have in the first and the last name. Now let's check for. Let's go back to. Let's go back to our actual table before I run this. I'm sure you want to show you something. So let's run. So do you see this our table? Now let me use gender. I want to group by gender. I think somebody wants to. Welcome. So I'm going back to our workbench. So I'll be grouping by gender now, and
Gender.
we see what happens. Group by gender, and we run. I think that it only gave us a result of male and female. Why? Because it doesn't repeat. It's not repetition. Unlike the names, the names are one single name. We didn't. Let me go back to our table and let me see if we have like repeated names. But do you get what I'm trying to say? It won't give us female, male, female, male. It's going to give us male and female because those are the only results that is because it's corresponding in the table. So it will just give us the distinct name. Now let's go back to our table and see if we have two names in our table. So I will show you. Okay, we have Tom once, we have Leslie. Okay, we don't have repeating names. Okay, that's fine. Now let's move on. Now do you understand what group by is now? So in my in my slide I said this as keyword. I'll show you what as is used for is used to create an ally or a temporary name, an alias rather, or a temporary name for a table is majorly used for readability. So let me show you what has means. Going back to first name, I'll show you how we use it in as. Group by first name, we run. So let me show you what I mean by the has. Right here in our select first name, we want to change this first name. This name, let me bring down to my cursor. This name, this highlighted, this thing I highlight, where my cursor is blinking. I don't like the first name under the first underscore name. I want to change it to first name. Now this is how it goes. You say has first name. I want to merge it together. So when we run, you see. So can you see that it changed? It's no longer first underscore name. It is now first name. Okay, let me say I want to make it just name. I don't want first name. By saying name, you see the change. I see the change. It's just a way to temporarily change the name of your colon. You get that? Now moving on. Order by. Spoken about group by. Now we have order by. So what's the purpose of order by? Order by is a clause or a keyword
If I
that
want
is used to
to out to
sort the
US, I will
result set of a query by one or more columns. So the
who go
sorting
buy am?
order can either be in ascending or in descending. And ascending is the default for order by. And from obviously we already know that ascending order is from the lowest to the highest and descending is from the highest to the lowest. So I'll show you what that means. We're going back to our workbench.
Who sell am? Who you sell am to?
Now let's select age. No, let's select a string colon so you see. Let's still select first name. first underscore name. Just because I changed the I mentioned that when we use as, it's only going to be there for temporarily. But when I say name, you see it would not work. Because I changed it earlier does not mean it's going to work. It's only used temporarily. Now run. You see it gives us nothing. Let me show you the output and you see you are getting error. Sorry. I'm trying to raise this up. Um, okay. Are you saying we are getting hex? Means error. What's that sound? So trying to join. Oh, do you have a question?
Yes, ma. Sorry, ma. Ma,
Oh,
please,
okay.
this query are using the facts and
Please,
recreational.
I can't hear you clearly. Sorry.
Okay. I said, the query you are using, this database you are using, ma, please, did you share it to the group? Did you share it as a file to the group?
Oh, you're still quite low. Is it what?
Like, I mean, like, this, um,
Or
this query you,
can you type in the chat box so I'll get you
okay,
right?
okay,
Okay,
okay.
thank you. Okay, so moving on. Now, do you get what I said? I said because we changed the first name. Remember, we changed the first name to name, and I said using as is just temporarily. You see, it gives error. This X means error. So now let's go back to what we were doing initially. Let me drop this one down. Down. Okay. So we are selecting the first name. And if you can remember, we are talking about order by now. First name, order by, and let me run. So I'll show you something. So run. And if you can remember from my slide, let me go back. I said I said the ascending is in default. So let me go back to my workbench. Sorry, see. And from what we know ascending is from the smallest to the biggest, right? So if you can see my first name, starting from here down to Tom. And remember when I said order by as ascending as its default. So now let me change this to descending. The keyword is DSC. Then when we run, what do you see? It started from the biggest to the smallest, from the highest to the lowest. So it starts from C down to A. I think I has dropped this question. Let me see. Okay, said please the query or database you are using, the pack and creation table, please did you send it to a group or please can I don't think our last tutor sent it. So after this class I will send it. You get that?
Okay, ma, thank you.
Oh, no problem. So do you understand this part of ascending and descending? I said ascending is the default. Let me remove descending so you would see again. Run. Ascending is from the lowest to the highest. It starts from here down to Z, but here we have T. So when you had okay, let's add ASC. You can either add ASC or not, but when you don't add it, it knows that it is going to start from the lowest to the highest because order by has a default of ascending. So let me run. Regardless of if you had or you don't had, it still runs from the smallest, from the lower. Let me use lowest to the highest. Do you see? So let me change it back to DESC. Then we run. Now do you see the difference? Now let's move on. Okay, I said the usage. We can use it. You can use it for a single colon or a multiple colon. What we've been doing since is single colon. Now let me show you that of a multiple colon. I'm going to go back to our workbench. So for multiple colon, we want multiple colons, right? So first name, last
Who
name.
did that?
Now let me use age. So we use a numeric colon so you get to see how it works. So yeah, right here too, be saying first name. Let's say you want the first name in ascending order. We do not have to put the ASC or we can put it if you want. So let's put it. You can remove it later just for you to see the differences. Comma, last name. What do you want your last name to be? Do you want it in the form of lowest to highest or from highest to lowest? So let me say I want something different because we've used ascending. So let's say descending. So now let me say we want our age. Let's say descending to. Make sure you're adding that keyword in front of the colon name. So let's run. Do you see? Oh, okay. Something is wrong. Okay, something is
How
wrong.
could you don't want to buy am?
Age
Why
is
you want buy
not
am?
reflecting.
You don't say over.
Eh,
Okay, can we see our first name,
I
please,
don't see
from
nothing. I
the
don't answer
lowest to
before.
the
You buy
highest?
dogs too.
While
No, I think
okay,
there's a
okay,
man,
something
there's a
is
time
wrong.
that all this thing will rise, it will rise again. They call up,
Lazarus.
no, they call up nasty next year, look this year. Like
Lazarus.
early next year. No, they say they call it something like that. Oh, bro. So I don't be looking at phones.
They look am. Season two
I
money
don't
still dey now.
see too money really broke. Oh. I not do again. God go punish them.
They go release am after season two.
That one tattoo even if they say really give me. That one tattoo be how many dollars, how many naira said that tattoo.
Ìkígbe ẹgbẹ́.
Yeah. Just one night.
Na just one na that's 2,000 naira.
God go punish you. $1,000 for waiting.
Ìwọ
Yeah.
that you want na
How many
money
times did you
dem.
do Amster? Amster started before
Let me
though.
check this worked.
Like
So
2 months
what
or
is
1 month before though.
happening?
Amster started.
How do you know you started then? Abi that's when you found it.
That's when Amster started in the place. I remember Amster started. That's the first semester we did where Amster started. When you do Amster the first semester, guy. Till now, they give you
This
15K.
worked today.
They will die.
They no dey give you 15K. Your money will dey drop like this as we speak.
Huh?
Your money dey drop like this as
No,
we
it's still
speak.
15K now.
Okay.
But now,
Okay now.
unfortunately, you don't fit sell out for here. You go sell out to vendor, abi. Those ones,
This
I,
channel
those
worked.
ones now, my money go on drops like maybe 11K now. So like this. This is just 0.0. You see, everybody they get plus, plus, plus. They get 0.0. Now go to that.
Before that you want to na money. Wetin money no fit buy, dem say money no fit buy.
And this worked. Why is multiple not working? Okay. Okay. Trying to figure out why this is not reflecting because it's supposed to be from highest to lowest and not in this format that it is. And mm, okay, let's see. First name. You can see my slide. We always select all. Let's see.
I think sorry. I think because Tom age is 36. That is why it's putting
Sorry,
36 in the front
I
of.
didn't get that. Sorry.
So I said I think because Tom age is 36.
Tom.
That is why that is why Tom age, the age of
Oh,
Tom
I
is
get that.
36.
I get that.
So that
Thank
is
you
why
so
it's putting
much.
36. So it
Yes,
can't.
thank you. Thank you. Okay,
So yeah.
I think you all get. Thank you so much. I think you get the logic now. So now let's see age, and let's see. We know we've been trying for a string colon. Now let's see for a numeric colon. Oh yes, you're right. For a numeric colon, you can see it's from the highest to the lowest. So that's for order by. You either use the ASC, which is in default, or the DSC, which is not in default. So you have to put in the DESC. But for the ASC, it's not
Oh,
necessary. You have to put
puta.
it. So going back to
So
our slide.
what is this?
The next one is filtering
Is it
data,
Telegram game?
starting with where. Okay, so
Is
what's
it
the
what they
purpose of
pay? I'll
where?
be
Where
just
is a
there.
clause or a keyword that
I'm
is used to
okay.
filter record in a query, returning only the rows that meet the specific conditions. And this clause also uses comparison operation, the operator rather, comparison operator. So from this slide rather, you can see a table that has the operator and the description. So now let's go to our workbench. Let's call in our table. Let's change the table to salary.
Whoa, man, collect 50K.
Salary.
You
Yeah,
don't
So now
need
we are
to
working
do it's only
with
like 10K.
where, which is a filter
part-time baby, I go zero
we
with
used to
that.
filter.
I don't
So
even know why I
where.
told you that now.
So now the condition, where is used to give condition. So let's say where
People don't even they say that.
age. No, let's go back to our table. Let's see what our table looks like.
My wife can miss.
Yeah?
My
Okay,
wife
so
can
Say it to.
we have salary, we have occupation, we have last name. So now let's work with our salary. So we say where salary, and we have salary is greater than 50,000.
I won't collect that
Is
50K.
that
Man,
false?
I'll go
Yeah.
use 1.5 back my I need that shit.
So are you seeing our results?
This
We are
price
seeing
is cool.
everything here is above 50,000. Let's change this to less than. No, let's say greater than or equal to. You can see 50 is part of the table now because I said greater than or equal to, and equal to means including 50 and above. Now let's change this to less than. Let's see, less than 50,000. So we are seeing only two values in our table. So now let's say less than or equal to, and this gives us 50,000 and below. Are you seeing that 50 is included now? So moving on, get back to our slide. Okay, should we work with this with two? Let's work with two and three. So for two, let me for the index two, it says this this is an inequation operator that is not equal to, and we've been trying equal to, so let's try not equal to. So going back to our workbench, let me add in this person. We're going back to our workbench and we've been trying equal to. Now let's try not equal to. Starting with this, then less than. So this operation means normally it gets to give us the values in this range. Now let's see what happens. It's giving us all of these except 50,000. That's what it means. That's what this operation means. Now we're moving on. Going back to my slide.
You know this is. But I don't start thinking
Next,
here, but that person they collect 50K.
filtering data is having.
Now why they tell you to now?
So the purpose of
No,
having
no, man.
having is
No,
a
man. That's
clause
too many
or a
work. You
keyword
don't see
that
job well.
filters group
So it
after
don't work now.
aggregation in a group
Don't
by
be saying,
operation.
I be saying, I be
While
saying.
we are okay,
Ah, let's
okay,
also the
okay. Now
two now.
let's check what having
No be
is.
say wetin.
Sorry.
Going
Wetin
back
you use that
to
money
my
do?
workbench.
Wetin you use that money do? Okay now.
So here we're using our
You don't understand.
Yeah.
let's change
Some that
this
happen from last time. I think that
demographic table.
I see enter this year, so you have to. Life is hard. Don't make. I mean, Backfire. Start fighting with now.
We end with a semicolon. And let's see what the table looks like.
Three.
This is our table. So now we are talking about the having. So let's select gender and let's do the average of
Every day for us,
age.
you know,
Listen,
in fact,
not check.
And from the
they use
slide,
what you use this one.
group by comes before
Can't even
having.
use
So we
this
are calling
Look
group
at see what
by.
I did.
We are grouping
No
by
password.
gender.
How many spin you get?
Then
No
having
plenty.
comes in.
Which one?
Having
I think spin and minutes I get them, I could also use them.
the average salary.
Why?
The average age, sorry,
Wait,
average
my
age
accumulation is my life.
of,
You get
let's
if you
say,
don't get that one
greater
thing,
than
press
40.
times 1,000, you think
Now
go
you
to
see what
kill.
happens.
Like to say you get plenty, let's say you get like 10,000,
So what happened there
don't press times
is
1,000, 1,000,
he
1,000.
grouped our
You don't make
data
me
by the
like
gender, which is
I
male and
can't cheat.
female. Okay, let
I
me
do
remove
work for
this
my mom, and
condition.
my parents don't pay again. I don't need
Okay,
it. I don't
he
need
grouped
it.
the gender. He grouped the table by gender because that was what I requested
Yeah, to
for.
do that
Then
problem.
we have the male
Now
and the
that's
female.
the way the
Then he
hand
did the average of
that
the
problem. The thing is, I
ages.
want to
Then grouped it
the
by
hand.
gender.
Don't they?
So this is what we
Tell you
have
that.
for the male,
So
and this is what
I
we
get
have for
plenty
the
about
female.
200.
So the condition
Then I will
I gave
get.
it, give me
Why?
give me a
They
average age that
actually
has any value less than 40. And remember that we grouped by gender. So we see the
that
value. We
comes with
see
the
that
others.
it
I
only
don't want
gives
to
us
before.
male because
You don't tell me they
male
do
has
and shit,
the
sir. I need to
average
know.
age of
So,
greater than 40. So when I change it
no,
to
this I
less
did
than,
that, but this is the. I don't, but I use a lot because of this
gives me female because
casting
female
and
has a average age
I don't
less
believe
than
them back.
40. We
But
get that.
mine them.
So now
I don't
slide.
use that. You say I collect $9,999.
And remember what our as keyword is. Now let me go back for those that were not in the class then. So from this table, let me remove this condition. From this table, we can see, let me run it. From this table, we can see that on our column we have gender and average age. We let's say we do not want average age, and remember when I said as is used temporarily to change the name of a column. So let's say we want the average age
Really?
as age.
This is all.
Age. Run, you see the difference.
Ah,
I
I
using
said
the
before I
average
call my
age
$2
change
again.
from average age to
I
age
want to
because
see
we
her from
use
my
the
papa.
has. Let's change the gender. Let me
This
say
is if I never
sex.
buy.
This is don't come.
So
This
you
is
see the
not bad. You
difference.
don't come. 1.8. That's what they show you. Now 4K I
I
spend
see
on
the
4K.
gender change from
But like
sex
1.9. 9.
from gender to
1.8.
sex
9.
while the average age change from
You
average
put
age
down,
to
you put
age.
down
That's how
1.2.
as
I don't go back
that's
to
how it
1.
works. It's used for readability. Do you get that?
This is how I invest that money.
So now we are moving on to the
For like me.
differences
I have
between
10
having
small
and
person.
where.
I don't know if
So here I said where is applied before grouping and aggregation, and for having it is applied after grouping and aggregation. So I'll show you what
this
this
will get
means
like 20
in
level.
our workbench.
And if they do that, I don't want situation will be good like
So
this.
let's change the table again
This is
to
Maybe they
salary.
because say we have this one like one fine level. People just want
Let's change this.
they
No, let me show you what is in our salary table
this
before
is
we
life
move
and
on.
just pray. Make you not lose your headache and eyes. Start up talking.
Let's run. This is what is in our salary table. Now let's work with the differences between having and wearing. So now let's work with the occupation that we have in the table. Let's get the average of our salary. So I said
this babe no
where
really like
comes
talk.
in
Ah!
before
You
the
my
group
juice
by.
level.
So now where is a keyword, remember? Where let's say where
You're
salary
my share.
You don't reach 40K.
That is not 14K. It's
or
less
yeah,
than.
let's see where salary.
I can tell you since.
No, rather let's
My
say
own, I
where
don't sell now. I
occupation.
don't sell now, but it never come out. I don't know if you do know.
Where occupation.
Reason.
So I didn't mention earlier, but another operation we can use is like.
Uh,
So yeah, I'm showing you what this means. Look at our table. Now let me write this. in the SQL bench and we see what happens. So when we use we use wildcard, and wildcard is using
That's
percentage.
that fast, fast.
Because we want to write a string, I'll be calling in the quotation. Then wildcard, like I said earlier, is using percentage. So percentage is me telling my workbench that it gives me any word that has this particular thing I've requested for. So let's say manager. You can see we have office manager. We have what other manager do we have? Okay, yeah, we only have office manager. Okay, so okay, we have city manager. So manager. Let's run this and see. Oh, it doesn't use that. Okay, let me cancel. Let me take away this. Know what's going on. Correction. Okay, there's a mistake in the manager. So let's run. So remember from the table, we only saw office manager and city manager. So this is how the like and the wildcard works. It only gives us the result of anything we request for. We requested for manager. So now let's move on to the differences between the having and the where. So yeah, I said we have average of salary. Now you see why I'm using this. So now I said the group by comes before where group by. Let's group by occupation. Then having comes in. Having. I'm just trying to show you differences between where and having. Having, let's say, average of salary. Salary greater than 75,000. Okay, let's keep zeros. So let's run. It was the issue. So, oh, spelling of salary. This would happen frequently when you don't spell well. So now let's run. Okay. So why is giving us city manager is because city manager is the only one that has a result of greater than 75,000. Let me remove this condition so I will see. Let's run. It gives us office manager and city manager. Remember earlier it gave us two office manager, but now it has been grouped together. The office manager that we had twice, that it was occurring twice, has been grouped together. I remember from the gender, I think from the demographic table, where it grouped the gender by male and female, unlike how we did for the first name, because they were not repeating like the gender. So that was what happened there. So I remember the condition we used greater than 75,000. That was why it gave us just city manager. You see that now, let's do less than. Let's change the condition to less than 75,000. So this is what happens. So yeah, I've spoken about how the as is used. But if you don't understand it, then let's go back to our workbench to see how it is used. So I want to change this average salary in my table. I want to change it to salary, or I want to change it to average salary in full.
Is it when I expect to say no?
Average salary.
That comment, that comment.
Let's run and see the change. Okay, I think there's not supposed to be a space, right? There's supposed to be a space. So let's run. So are you seeing it change from AVG and salary in bracket to average salary together? Because that was what I requested that it gave to me. So basically, as is used for readability and it is used temporarily. Like I said, you check my slide. See, it is a keyword used to create an alias or temporary name for a table or a colon in SQL queries for readability. Okay, I think that's all we have in my slide. So let's just recap what we've done today. So we spoke about the aggregate function earlier when I mentioned the sum, the count, the average, maximum, and the minimum, and I showed you how they are being used. Then we moved on to the group by, and we said the group by organized data. It organizes data into groups based on
Is it
one or more
so?
columns,
So,
allowing the aggregate to be applied
My
to
scenario.
each group and we saw how that worked. And the order by, we said the order by is sort the result of a query, including those involving the group's data. We saw how that worked too. So we moved on to the where, we moved on to the having, and I showed you the differences. So I said the where filters the rows before aggregation occurs, which is why the where came before the group by, and the while it filters the group after segregation. So that's basically all we have for today. Don't know if we have any question. Is there any question?
Um, Ma, hello, Ma.
Yeah, yeah, I can hear you.
Ma, please, this recording. Ma, please, could you do us a favor? Could you just send to the admin?
Sorry, I didn't get that. It's quite low.
Okay. I said, Ma, can you please do us a favor and send this recording to our
Oh
YouTube
yeah,
link?
yeah, sure, sure. It will be sent. It will be sent.
Send it today.
Is there any other question?
Yes, that with the this thing with the query, the database you said you will
Yeah,
send.
yeah, yeah. Sure. I would send that in too.
Okay, Ma, thank you.
Yeah. Do we all understand what I've explained today? Okay. So, any question before call it a day? Any question? Okay. If there is no question, I'll be ending the call here. I'll share the
Really
slide
good food.
for the assignments, and
Okay.
the video will be uploaded. And yeah, I'll
I
share
confirm that
the file
shows
too for us to work with.
error.
So
Yeah.
yeah, you guys should have a good
Shows
day.
error and structuring failed to receive the game. See it to come. I mean, no one.